The city never truly slept. Neon lights hummed softly above narrow streets, reflecting off metal walls and wet ground. Flying vehicles passed overhead, their engines whispering through the night air. Most doors stayed locked after dark, especially in this district. Humans were rare here, and aliens were careful. Inside a small apartment on the third level, a human single dad sat alone at his kitchen table. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and quiet. His hair was dark, his face tired, and his eyes carried the weight of years he did not talk about. He worked long shifts fixing machines for alien factories. He came home, ate simple food, and slept. He kept to himself. That was how he survived. Humans who stood out did not last long here. He was just finishing his meal when a sound reached his ears. A soft knock. He froze. No one ever knocked on his door at night. The knock came again, weak and uneven. Not loud, not demanding. Almost afraid. The human stood slowly. His hand moved toward the light switch, then stopped. He listened. His heart beat faster. In this city, knocks after dark often meant trouble. He stepped closer to the door and looked through the small security lens. What he saw made him pause. A child stood outside. She was small, barely reaching the door panel. Her skin was blue, faintly glowing under the hallway lights. Her hair was light and messy. Her eyes were wide and wet with fear. She wore a simple jacket that looked too thin for the cold air. She knocked again, weaker this time. The human unlocked the door just enough to speak. "Yes?" he asked calmly. The child looked up at him. Her lips trembled. "Our door is broken," she said in broken human language. "Mommy is scared." The words hit him harder than he expected. Opened the door fully and knelt so they were eye to eye. "Where is your home?" he asked gently. Al pointed down the hallway and toward a side passage that led into darker levels of the building. "Bad noises," she said. "Lights broke." "Mommy hurt." The human stood. His mind raced. Helping aliens was risky. Getting involved in family trouble was worse. Security drones patrolled the area. Neighbors watched everything. A human stepping into alien problems could be reported, questioned, or removed. He looked at the child again. She was shaking. He grabbed his jacket and a small tool pouch from the wall. "Show me," he said. The child's eyes widened. She nodded and turned, walking fast down the hall. The human followed, his steps quiet. They passed flickering lights and broken signs. The air grew colder. The building here was old, forgotten by city maintenance. Doors were scratched, walls were dented. This was a place people avoided. They stopped at a bent metal door. One hinge was loose. The lock panel was cracked and sparking. Inside, an alien woman sat on the floor, holding her arm. She looked up in fear when she saw the human. She pulled her child close. "Please," she said in a shaking voice. "We did nothing wrong." The human raised his hand slowly. "I am not here to hurt you," he said. "Your child asked for help." He knelt near the door and studied the damage. The lock was smashed from the outside. The power line feeding it was cut. Someone had tried to force their way in. He worked quickly using simple tools. He rerouted power, tightened the hinge, and reinforced the lock with a manual brace. The door closed solidly. The alien mother watched in silence. When the door sealed, the room grew quiet. "You are safe for now," the human said. "Ah!" The child smiled for the first time. But the human's eyes stayed serious. A low hum echoed from the hallway. Security drones. He stood slowly and looked toward the door. "Stay inside," he told them. "Do not open it for anyone." The child grabbed his hand. "Thank you," she said softly. He squeezed her hand once, then stepped outside and closed the door behind him. The hallway lights brightened. Red scanning beams passed over his body. A drone hovered closer, its lens glowing. "Human detected," it announced. "Unauthorized activity recorded." The human stood still. "I repaired a broken door," he said calmly. The drone paused. "Further review required," it said. Doors along the hallway opened slightly. Alien eyes watched from the shadows. A human helping an alien family was something they had never seen before. The drone pulled back, recording everything. "Report filed," it said. "Monitoring will continue." It flew away. The human let out a slow breath. He walked back to his apartment, knowing something had changed. Behind one locked door, an alien mother held her child and whispered something new. Humans are not monsters. And in the city above, unseen systems began to notice the human who did not walk away. The arrival of a small alien child had started something far bigger than anyone expected. The human did not sleep that night. He lay on his narrow bed, staring at the ceiling as the low hum of the city passed through the walls. Every sound felt louder than before. Footsteps in the hall, a distant engine, the faint buzz of security systems adjusting their patrol routes. Something had changed. Helping the alien family had not been a small thing. In this city, humans survived by being invisible. Tonight he had been seen. When the morning light filtered through the window, he finally stood and prepared for work. He moved slowly, his mind replaying the child's face and the fear in her voice. Our door is broken. He checked the building corridor before stepping out. Everything looked normal, but he felt watched. The city often pretended to be calm before it reacted. He worked his shift repairing factory machines, but his focus drifted. Alien workers whispered more than usual. Some glanced at him, then quickly looked away. Others stared openly, curiosity replacing fear. News traveled fast in closed places. By midday, he knew he would return to that door. Not because he had to, because he could not ignore what might happen if he did not. After work, he stopped by a supply stall and bought stronger materials, manual locks, reinforced plates, old human tech that did not rely on city power, things that worked even when systems failed. The stall owner raised an eyebrow. You planning something? The alien asked. Fixing a door, the human replied. The alien studied him, then nodded once. Good doors matter, the stall owner said quietly. When the human reached the lower level again, he moved carefully. The corridor felt tense. More lights were on than usual. Too many. He stopped before the alien family's door. A new mark had been burned into the metal. Someone had tested it. He knocked once, soft and slow. The door opened just enough for the child's eye to appear. When she saw him, her face lit up. You came back, she said. He smiled faintly. I said you were not alone. The door closed behind him as he stepped inside. The alien mother looked stronger than the night before, but worry still filled her eyes. They came, she said. They tried again. When? He asked. After sunrise, she answered. They did not get in. Your fix held. He nodded and knelt by the door. The lock was scratched, but intact. They will try harder next time, he said. The child hugged her mother's arm. They are loud, she whispered. They make bad sounds. The human stood and looked around the small apartment. It was clean, but bare. No weapons, no hidden tech, just a family trying to survive. Why you? He asked gently. The alien mother hesitated, then spoke. We refused relocation. The human frowned. Relocation to where? Outside the city, she said. Cold zones, no work, no schools. He understood now. This was not random crime. This was pressure. They want us gone, she continued. Quietly, the human exhaled slowly. I will make the door stronger, he said. Strong enough that they will think twice. He worked for hours. He reinforced the frame, added internal bars, and built a secondary lock hidden behind the wall panel. He grounded the door so scanners would misread it as solid infrastructure, not a weak target. Alien tech was advanced, but humans knew something aliens often forgot. Simple solutions last. As he worked, the child sat nearby, watching closely. What is your name? She asked. He paused. Humans did not share names easily here. You can call me neighbor, he said. She smiled. I am Small Star, she said proudly. He nodded. That fits. When he finished, the door felt heavier, safer. This will hold, he said. The alien mother's eyes filled with tears. Why are you doing this? She asked. Humans avoid us. He looked at the child. Because someone should not be scared in their own home, he replied. A sudden vibration shook the building. The lights dimmed. Then came the sound of boots. Heavy boots. The human stiffened. Inside, he whispered, Stay quiet. He moved to the door and listened. Voices echoed down the hall. Confident, controlled, authority voices. The knock came. Harder this time. Open the door, a voice ordered. City compliance check. The alien mother froze. The human stepped forward. "I will handle this," he said. He opened the door just enough to stand in the frame. Two armored figures stood outside. Alien enforcement. Their armor gleamed, polished and official. A drone hovered behind them. "This residence is under review," one said. "Step aside." The human did not move. "I live nearby," he said calmly. "This family has permission to stay." The officer tilted his head. "You are human, yes. You have no authority." The human met his gaze. "Neither do bullies," he said quietly. The hallway went silent. The drone scanned him again, longer this time. "Record shows prior intervention," it announced. The second officer stepped closer. "You are interfering with city planning," he said. "That is dangerous for humans." The human leaned slightly forward. "So is breaking doors and scaring children." The officers exchanged a look. Behind the human, the child clutched her mother's clothing. The first officer spoke again. "This is your warning. Walk away." The human shook his head. No, the word was simple. Final. The drone's lens flickered. "Conflict risk increased," it stated. More doors opened along the hall. Neighbors watched openly now. Aliens who had always believed humans were weak saw something new. A human who did not bend. The officers hesitated. This situation was no longer quiet. "Withdraw," the first officer ordered. They stepped back, armor clicking softly. "This is not over," he said. The human nodded. "I know." When they left, the hallway buzzed with whispers. The human closed the door and leaned against it. The alien mother covered her mouth in disbelief. "They left," she said. "For now," he replied. The child looked up at him with wide eyes. "You were not scared?" she said. He smiled softly. "I was." She frowned. "Then why you stand?" He knelt and met her gaze. "'Cause some things matter more than fear." That night, messages spread quietly through the building. About a human, about a door that did not break, about a child who slept without crying. And far above, in towers of glass and light, systems flagged the human as a variable, not dangerous, unpredictable, which in the eyes of the city was worse. The city noticed patterns before people did. Energy systems adjusted, security routes shifted, and data flowed quietly through hidden channels. The human single dad did not see any of it, but he felt the change in the air the moment he stepped out of his apartment the next morning. Too quiet. The hallway lights stayed bright. Too bright. Doors were closed, but eyes watched from behind them. He walked with steady steps, keeping his face calm, the same way he always did. At work, the factory floor felt different. Machines hummed, but conversation stopped when he passed. Alien workers pretended to focus, yet their attention followed him. One of them finally spoke. "You are the human," the alien said, not accusing, just curious. The human paused. "I am a human," he replied. The alien nodded slowly. "You stood against enforcement." "I fixed a door," the human said. The alien's eyes shifted. "In this city, that is the same thing." During his break, the human sat alone, eating quietly. His wrist communicator vibrated once. Unknown sender. He hesitated, then opened the message. "Your actions have been recorded. Continue at your own risk." No name, no symbol. Where he closed the message and finished his meal. After work, he did not go straight home. He walked to the lower levels. The child was waiting by the door as if she knew he would come. "You came again," she said happily. He smiled. "I told you I would." Inside, the apartment felt warmer than before. The alien mother had prepared food and offered it to him. He accepted, sitting on the floor with them. "We heard things," she said carefully. "About you? Good or bad?" he asked. She hesitated. "Both." He nodded. "That sounds right." The child looked between them. "Are they coming back?" she asked. Maybe he answered honestly. "But not today." As if summoned by the words, a distant hum rolled through the building. Not drones this time. Something larger. The floor vibrated lightly. The human stood and moved to the door, placing his hand on the reinforced metal. "Stay back," he said softly. Outside, a city patrol unit hovered at the end of the corridor. Larger than drones, slower, more official. It did not approach. It watched. Minutes passed. Then it left. The alien mother exhaled shakily. "They are testing you. They are testing all of us," he replied. Word spread faster now. By the next day, strangers waited in the hallway when he passed. Some moved aside respectfully. Others studied him with open interest. A human who did not hide was rare. A human who stood firm was unheard of. That evening, a knock came at his own door. He opened it to find an elderly alien standing there, leaning on a support cane. "I live 3 levels below," the alien said. "My door does not close right." The human looked at the broken hinge and nodded. "I can fix it." Soon another knock came. Then another. Within hours, he was moving from apartment to apartment, repairing locks, reinforcing frames, adjusting panels. He worked quietly, asking for nothing. People watched in disbelief. He was not charging credits. He was not asking favors. He was just helping. The city systems flagged this as abnormal. A meeting was called. In a tower far above the lower levels, officials gathered around a glowing table. Data streams showed the human's movements. "He is disrupting relocation compliance," one official said. "He is creating resistance," another added. "He is repairing doors," a third corrected. Silence followed. "He is human," the first official said. "This is expected behavior when unchecked." "Then check him," another replied. "But carefully," the third warned. Public attention is forming. Back in the lower levels, the human finished securing the alien family's door one last time. "This will hold for a long time," he said. The alien mother clasped her hands. "We cannot repay you. You already have," he replied. The child hugged him tightly. "You are strong," she said. He shook his head. "I'm just here." That night, the city reacted. Power fluctuations rippled through the district. Notices appeared on screens. Safety inspections scheduled. The humans stood in the hallway when enforcement arrived again. This time, there were more of them. They did not knock. They announced, "By city order, unauthorized modifications will be reviewed." The human stepped forward, calm as ever. "These doors keep families safe," he said. "They interfere with policy," the lead officer replied. The human looked at the gathered neighbors. "Do you want your doors broken?" he asked them. Silence. Then one voice spoke. "No." Another followed. "Leave them alone." More voices joined. The officers shifted uneasily. They were trained to control crowds, not reason with them. The lead officer raised a hand. "This human is influencing you," he said. The human spoke again. "No, I am reminding them." The drone overhead scanned rapidly. Crowd sentiment shifting, it announced. Risk increasing. The officer stepped back. "Stand down," the lead officer ordered reluctantly. They retreated under a storm of watching eyes. The human did not celebrate. He knew this was only the beginning. Later that night, he returned to his apartment. He sat at the table, hands resting quietly. Another message arrived. "You're now classified as a social destabilizer." He deleted it. A final message followed. "Council review pending." He leaned back and stared at the ceiling. In the lower apartment, the alien child slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. Across the district, doors stayed closed, strong, and throughout the city, a new idea began to spread. Humans were not dangerous because they were violent. Humans were dangerous because they reminded others how to stand. Far above, the city prepared its next move. And the human, unknowingly, had already made his. The city did not forget. After the confrontation in the hallway, things changed again. This time, the change felt heavier, like the air before a storm. Notices appeared on public screens, written in polite language, but filled with quiet pressure. Community adjustments in progress. Residential reviews ongoing. Most residents understood what that meant. Someone was unhappy. The human single dad noticed the signs as he moved through the city. Patrol units paused longer when he passed.
Ow.
Drones hovered just a little closer. His work supervisor asked him strange questions about loyalty and stability. He answered calmly, as always. At night, he sat alone in his apartment, listening to the city breathe. He thought about leaving, and humans did, when attention grew too strong, but then he thought about the child. The way she smiled when the door finally closed without fear. the way her mother slept without waking at every sound. Leaving now would break something he could not fix again. The next evening, a formal request arrived. Not a threat. Not yet. Attendance requested at Community Review Center. Voluntary cooperation advised. He read it twice. Voluntary was never voluntary. He placed the message aside and picked up his jacket. Before heading out, he stopped by the lower level. The child opened the door before he knocked. "You were late," she said seriously. He smiled. "I had work." The alien mother sensed something wrong the moment she saw his face. "They are calling you," she said. "Yes," he replied. She lowered her head. "This is because of us." "No," he said gently. "This is because I chose to stay." The child stepped closer. "Oh, will you come back?" He knelt so they were eye level. "I always come back," he said. The Community Review Center stood in a bright district, far from the worn lower levels. The building was smooth, clean, and cold. Inside, everything echoed. He was led into a wide room with a single table. 3 officials waited. They did not look angry. They looked curious. "You have caused unusual stability issues," one said calmly. "I fixed doors," the human replied. "You encouraged resistance," another added. "I encouraged safety," he said. The 3rd official leaned forward. "Why?" The question hung in the air. The human was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "Because I know what happens when no one helps." The officials exchanged looks. "Explain," one said. The lights dimmed slightly as recording systems activated. The human sat back, hands resting on the table. "Before I came here, I lived on a human colony world," he began. It was quiet. Families, children, doors that locked. He paused. One day those doors did not matter. The room stayed silent. There was confusion, he continued. Orders changed. Protection failed. People were told to wait, to trust the system. His voice stayed steady, but his eyes darkened. My family waited. The officials watched closely now. When help did not come, neighbors helped each other. They shared food. They blocked doors. They protected children. He looked up. Those who stood together lived longer. Silence filled the room. And when it was over, he said, I was alone. One official shifted uncomfortably. You came here after, another said. Yes, the human replied. I came to a place where humans were told to stay quiet, stay small. He leaned forward slightly. I tried that. The third official frowned. Then why change now? The human answered without hesitation. Because a child knocked on my door. The officials said nothing. You call it destabilization, he continued. I call it remembering who I am. The meeting ended without resolution. No arrest. She handed it to him proudly. It showed a door. A big one, and beside it, a tall figure. That is you, she said. You stand in front. He swallowed. It is a good door, she added. Yes, he said quietly. It is, but not everyone saw it that way. That afternoon, enforcement returned. This time, they brought notices. Relocation approved, the lead officer announced. This building is scheduled for adjustment. Fear rippled through the hallway. The alien mother clutched her child. The human stepped forward. On what grounds, he asked. Efficiency, the officer replied. The human looked around. Say it clearly, he said. The officer hesitated. Non-compliant residents. The human nodded slowly. Then you will have to move all of us. The officer frowned. You do not belong here. The human met his gaze. I belong where people need help. Voices rose behind him. We stay, one neighbor said. This is our home, another added. The crowd grew. The child held the human's hand tightly. Promised, she whispered. I know, he replied. The officer stepped back, signaling retreat. This will go higher, he warned. The human nodded. It already has. That night, the city networks buzzed. Footage spread quietly. A human standing in a hallway. Aliens standing behind him. Doors that would not open for fear. Messages followed. Why is the human protecting them? Why does the city fear one man? Why do his doors stay closed? In his apartment, the human sat alone, holding the child's drawing. He did not know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing: he would not run. In the lower level, the alien mother tucked her child into bed. "Is he brave?" the child asked. The mother smiled softly. "He is human," she said. Above them, systems recalculated. The human was no longer just a variable. It was a symbol. And symbols were harder to remove than people. The city woke up uneasy. Public screens flickered with new messages early that morning. Notices were shorter now, clearer, harder to ignore. Community compliance review in progress. People stopped in the streets to read them. Shops opened late. Transit slowed. Everyone felt it. Something was coming. The human single dad noticed it too as he stepped outside. Drones hovered higher than usual, watching wider areas. Patrol units stood at major crossings, not moving, just observing. He did not rush. He walked to the lower levels like he always did. The child was waiting, sitting on the floor beside the reinforced door. She looked up and smiled when she saw him. "They are allowed today," she said. "Yes," he replied. "They are thinking." The alien mother stood behind her, worry etched deep into her face. "People are talking," she said. "They say the council is meeting." He nodded. "They do not like questions they cannot answer." Inside the apartment, neighbors had gathered. Some stood, others sat against the walls. Different species, different shapes. All quiet. "They're going to force us out," one alien said softly. "Maybe," the human answered, "but not easily." "How do you know?" another asked. "Because they are watching," he said. "And when systems watch instead of act, it means they are unsure." A low tone echoed through the building. Announcement tone. "Attention residents," a calm voice said. "Please remain in your homes. Review teams will arrive shortly." Fear spread like a ripple. The child gripped the human's hand. "You will stay," she said. "I am not leaving," he replied. Footsteps filled the hallway. Not hurried. Measured. The review team arrived with no armor, no weapons, no force. It's just officials and record drones. The lead official stopped when he saw the crowd. "This is not necessary," he said. "You're here to help." The human stepped forward. "Then listen," he said. The official hesitated, then nodded. "Speak." The human looked around at the gathered residents. "These people live here," he said. "They work here. Our children sleep here. Our doors keep them safe." "This district is inefficient," the official replied. "Resources can be better managed elsewhere." The human shook his head. "Safety is not inefficiency." The official sighed. "No? You were emotional." "Yes," the human agreed. "That is why I'm dangerous." The drone hovered closer, recording every word. The official folded his hands. "You cannot stop policy." The human met his gaze. "No," he said. "But people can." A murmur ran through the crowd. One alien stepped forward, then another. "We stay," they said. The official glanced at the growing group. "Non-compliance will be noted." The human smiled faintly. "So will courage." The review team withdrew without another word. Hours passed. No enforcement followed. Instead, messages spread. Across the city, residents shared recordings. Humans standing calm. Aliens standing together. Doors holding strong. In upper districts, citizens asked questions. Why are families being moved? Why does the city fear one human? Why does help look like a threat? By afternoon, public forums were flooded. The council reconvened. Inside the highest tower, leaders watched the footage again. "He is influencing sentiment," one said. "He is human," another replied. "This was expected." "No," a third corrected. "This is not human aggression. This is human responsibility." Silence followed. "That is harder to control," someone said. Back in the lower levels, the human sat on the floor with the child, helping her build a small model door from scrap pieces. "This one never breaks," she said happily. He smiled. "If you take care of it, it will last." A sudden alert chimed on his wrist device. City broadcast. He stood slowly. Screens across the district lit up. "Attention," the council voice announced. "After review, relocation orders for this sector are suspended. Gasps filled the hallway. The alien mother covered her mouth. The child looked up, confused. What does that mean? The human knelt. It means you stay. Cheers broke out, quiet at first, then stronger. Neighbors embraced. Some cried. Some laughed. The human stayed still. Dee knew better than to celebrate too soon. The broadcast continued. Further, community safety initiatives will be reviewed in cooperation with residents. The screen went dark. The hallway erupted. The child hugged him tightly. Did it, she said. He shook his head. We did. That evening, the city felt different. Lights softened, patrols relaxed. Drones moved higher, farther away. The human returned to his apartment, tired but steady. Another message arrived. This one had a sender, council representative. You have altered projected outcomes, it read. You will be observed. He closed the message. Down below, the alien mother prepared food for the building. People gathered, sharing what little they had. The human joined them quietly. You should leave now, one neighbor said gently. They will not forget you. He nodded. I know. Why stay? Another asked. He looked at the child, laughing as she ran through the room. Because this is what home looks like, he said. That night he stood at his window looking out over the city. For the first time he did not feel alone inside it. Council chambers, debates continued late into the night. The human cannot be removed without consequence, one said. He has become a symbol, another replied. Symbols fade, a third said. Not human ones, the first answered. In the lower levels, the child fell asleep against the reinforced door, her small hand resting on the metal. The human covered her with a blanket. He knew tomorrow would bring new challenges. The city had chosen to pause, not surrender. But something important had already happened. People had seen that standing together worked. And the city, for the first time in a long while, had listened. Above it all, the council prepared its final decision. And the human, unknowingly, stood at the center of it. The city waited. It did not rush this time. No sudden notices, no flashing alerts, no patrols flooding the streets. Everything felt calm, but it was the calm that came before a final choice. The human single dad felt it when he woke up. The air felt heavier, not threatening, expectant. He prepared for the day slowly. He cleaned his apartment, folded his jacket, and placed the child's drawing carefully inside his bag. The drawing of a strong door and a tall figure standing in front of it. Outside, people moved differently. Aliens greeted each other in the hallways. Some nodded to him, some smiled, others simply watched with quiet respect. In the lower levels, the building felt alive. Neighbors gathered again, but not in fear this time. They shared food, stories, and cautious hope. The alien mother stood beside him. They will decide today, she said. Yes, he replied. And if they decide against us? He looked at the child, who was carefully adjusting a loose panel on the model door she had built. Then we remind them again, he said. A soft tone echoed through the city. Council broadcast. Screens lit up everywhere. Citizens, the council voice began, steady and controlled. The recent events in the lower residential sectors have raised important questions. The humans stood still. Questions about safety, the voice continued. About cooperation? About what stability truly means? The image shifted. Council representatives appeared, seated high above the city. We have reviewed footage, data, and public response, the speaker said. We have observed one human resident and the reaction he created. Murmurs spread through the gathered crowd. He is not accused of crime, the council member continued. He did not act with force. He did not incite damage. The human's hands remained calm at his sides. He repaired doors, the voice said. He stood between fear and families. The council paused. This behavior has revealed a flaw in our systems. The building went silent. We believed compliance created order, the council member said. But order without trust creates fear. The human looked around. Aliens watched the screen with wide eyes. We have learned, the council continued, that humans do not disappear when ignored. They observe, they wait. When they act, they remind others of what was forgotten. The screen changed again, effective immediately. Forced relocations based on compliance metrics are ended. A wave of relief washed through the crowd. The alien mother sank to her knees, holding her child. The council voice carried on. Community safety will now be built with resident input. Human participation is authorized and encouraged. The human closed his eyes briefly. The final words came slower. The human resident, known as the neighbor, is no longer under review. The broadcast ended. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the hallway filled with sound, soft at first, then stronger. Cheers. Laughter. Tears. The child hugged him tightly. "You fixed the big door," she said proudly, smiled. "We all did." Later that day, council representatives arrived in person. No armor, no drones, just officials and observers. Stood in the hallway where everything had begun. "You may leave the city," one official told the human, "or you may stay. The choice is yours." The human looked at the people around him, the doors he had repaired, at the child who now stood tall and unafraid. "I will stay," he said. The official nodded. "And help us do better." Days passed, changes followed. Repair teams arrived, not to remove people, but to strengthen buildings. Doors were upgraded, lights fixed, hallways cleaned. Humans were invited to work alongside aliens, not as outsiders, but as neighbors. The human single dad became known for something simple. He listened. People came to him with problems, not because he was in charge, but because he cared. The child followed him everywhere, asking questions and learning how things worked. "Why doors matter so much?" she asked one day. He knelt beside her. "'Cause a door is not just metal," he said. "It tells people they are safe." She nodded seriously. "Then I will build many doors," she said. He smiled. "The city will need them." One evening, as the lights dimmed and the city settled into a new rhythm, the humans stood on the balcony, overlooking the streets. They were not perfect. They never would be. But they were alive. The alien mother joined him. "You changed everything," she said. He shook his head. "No," he replied. Stayed. She looked at him, understanding now. In council chambers far above, officials reviewed new data. Community stability had increased. Conflict indicators had dropped. Trust metrics, once ignored, now rose steadily. One council member spoke quietly. "Humans are not a problem to manage," they said. "They are a reminder." "Of what?" another asked. "Of what happens when someone refuses to look away." Back in the lower levels, the child taped her drawing to the wall near the reinforced door. It was not perfect. The lines were uneven, the colors faded. But everyone who passed smiled when they saw it, because it showed something the city had forgotten: a door and someone who stayed. The human single dad sat at his table that night, alone, but not lonely. He thought about the past he had lost. He thought about the future he had helped shape, when he knew something simple and true. Humans did not need to conquer cities to change them. Sometimes all it took was answering a knock.